Hey guys, Lord here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the NECA Toys Disney's Gargoyles Ultimate Broadway. Yes, for those of you not in the know, John Fogerbakke is also the voice of Patrick Star from SpongeBob SquarePants, as well as good old Broadway here. And much like Brooklyn, his brother from another mother, as they say, who I took a look at yesterday. Check that review out if you haven't already. Would really appreciate it if you did. I got Broadway here from Toy Stalker. Again, I will leave a link in the description below so you can pick one up for yourself so long as they are still in stock. I know it's been a while, but Toy Stalker usually keeps up with the times and has lots of stuff available, even if it is a little bit harder to find. And if you use the discount code FREESHIP99, you get free shipping with any order over $100. So there you go. So taking a look at Broadway's accessories here. Like Brooklyn, he comes with a pair of clawdad hands so he can rip your face off. That's always fun. As well as a pair of grip hands. This one, kind of niche and almost looks like the Hudson grip hand. I hope it's not, because the two are very close in color, even though Hudson's brown and Broadway here is green. They kind of screw my eyes a little bit. We all know my eyes aren't the best, right? Just putting it out there. Alright. But what this is meant for is the bag of popcorn here, but it doesn't really fit that well. You'd have to heat this in order to really get it in there, but well, maybe not. You can hold it like that, I guess, but it is a stretch, I will say. That said, this grip hand, which does have the correct hinge for a grip hand, might I add, is meant for his weapons, which, like Brooklyn's lance from yesterday, these are reminiscent of, and if I set this off to the side here, these are reminiscent of this guy, which came with the vintage figure from ye old Kenner days. You can extend it even, and it does split apart. It's got little clips here that detach, and much like that, these do connect as well. They are keyed, so I hope I get this right. There you go. So you can have this big axe, mace, weapon of doom, which he never used in the show, but this is a nice throwback to the Kenner figure, and you can just pop it apart in the middle there. And then you got two weapons. Unfortunately, though, he only has one grip hand, so you're kind of screwed there, but a nice inclusion nonetheless. And speaking of nice inclusions, from the pilot, we get the chicken leg he bopped the Viking on the head with. No Viking to bop it on, but we do get the chicken leg. I feel like it was bigger than this in the show, but I could be wrong. And then we do get some snot. This is some slime that was in the rookery because they ticked off Big Daddy Goliath and he sent them to their bedrooms right before the Vikings came and massacred the rest of them. So probably should have sent them all down there, buddy. But there you go. He comes with some slime that's loosely shaped like a hand, which is very weird. So there you go. That's all of Broadway's accessories, other than, of course, the Scream Bloody Gore head. Ah! Yeah, and what kind of sucks is it would have been nice to get another one of these with the pupils so you could have him eating the food. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So, yeah, whatever, I suppose. But you do get the screamy, heavy metal, death metal, thrash metal head. So that's cool. That said, as we did with Brooklyn yesterday, we're going to do the same here. We have the new Broadway and the old Broadway, who I know I did a Throwback Thursday on sometime last year, probably earlier last year. I know I did Brooklyn later in the year, but I think Broadway I did earlier in the year. But there you go. And speaking of heavy metal and thrash metal, he's even got the headbang in action, which is pretty cool. And he also, like Brooklyn, looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. So, Very interesting there. This one's a little bit more, he's not as pudgy, and he looks more like jacked than, well, this one's ripped as all get out, but you know what I mean. If this guy was sculpted like this guy, he'd probably win the fight. So, there you go. Gotta love that old Kenner line, right? Without it, we wouldn't have had any Gargoyles figures until like a couple years ago, and that's just not okay. For me, anyways. So, as far as articulation on this guy goes, we'll get to the big you-know-whats in a minute. He does have a ball, double ball peg, in the head, so he can look up and down, he can rotate. No hinged jaw on this guy, which kind of sucks, because Bronx has one, and he is like Broadway here. The only other gargoyle with the finned kind of creature of the Black Lagoon Gillman ears, so that's interesting. His shoulders do go out, not as far as Brooklyn's, but he is kind of a chungus, so you gotta cut him some slack there. They do rotate. He does have a bicep swivel, which is a little gummy at first, but once you get it moving, it's fine. He's got a double elbow here, and like Brooklyn, he does not have the little elbow spikes. So that's interesting. He does have hinge and swivel wrists that work nicely. That said, he does have a big old honking diaphragm joint that can crunch forward pretty far. He does have a bit of a shelf on his back when you do that, though, so be mindful of that. But he can crunch forward, he can crunch back a little bit, he can tilt, he can roll around a bit. I will say, sometimes this has a tendency to be a little loose, but this one's not too bad. He does have a waist twist, unlike Brooklyn's. It doesn't feel like it's going to pop out as easy, so that's nice. Not that I really mind that too much, but I don't want my figures falling apart at the seams, you know? He does have the ball hinge, not ball hinge, but just ball socket hips that kick out, back down. They do rotate forward and back. He does have a thigh cut. He's got a swivel at the knee with a hinge. And then his foot also hinges as well as his toes. And he's got rockers in both points in the foot. And then his tail, like Brooklyn's, also on a hinge and swivel there. And unlike Brooklyn's, you don't gotta worry about his too much. His is pretty big. His is pretty chunky. I doubt the wire's gonna make its way through there, even if you mess with it a little bit more than you probably should. So that, my friends, is that. I don't know what that was about. Like this figure. I think I like Brooklyn more. He is my favorite member of the trio after all, so probably a little biased. That, and he does kind of look like a cacodemon of sorts. So that's pretty cool. He gets bonus points for looking like a demon. So yeah, Broadway's cool though. I like him. I think he's well worth the money, and I'm glad to have him. That said, we do have some ports on the back to talk about. Unfortunately, and I don't know if this is on all of them, but it's been on a couple of the ones I've seen anyways. He's got a little bit of Demona syndrome. Now I say a little bit because it's not exactly like Demona in the sense that the wing just friggin' flops and doesn't stay up worth a crap. His do, especially on the right side here, but the left side, it's a little loose. So we'll look at that in a minute here, because I do have the wings handy right here. Now his have the full-blown like clicky joints in there, and his also kinda sorta look like his vintage counterpart, although his vintage counterpart has the A shape going on, which is, I think, what everyone would like to have at some point. NECA, if you're listening, probably not. So if you did, you would be saying, hey, we're going to make the A-shaped wings, quit complaining about it. I don't know, that's what I do. But they do have the little clickers in them. And here's the other one. This one's a little bit more of a pop, but it does have that clicker in there also. So we could take these, we can slot them right into his back here. This one, again, is fine. I'm not going to rotate these for all extensive purposes because I don't want them to get loose. So we're going to slot him in his back here and hope for the best. I did hit him with a little bit of cold water just to ensure that the loose one does not flop. And if it doesn't flop on camera, I'm not going to show it because I don't want to make it any looser. So there you go. I think they're pretty centered. I think. But there's Broadway with his big old hunkin' wings. Looking pretty cool. I like it. Pan the camera up a bit so you can see him better. There you go. But yeah, man, it's a crapshoot with these wings. Sometimes they got the clickers in them, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they want to stay up, sometimes they don't. I think we just need to go back to the drawing board with these and just start doing the open but A-shaped wings. But Broadway does look really cool with these. And the Silver Falcon exclusive version of Broadway with the trench coat and the hat, a la Ben Grimm from Fantastic Four, funny enough. That one will come with cloak wings that I might throw on this guy, and I might put these wings on that Silver Falcon version just so you can see the trench coat underneath, because with the cape wings, it kind of hides all that, and I don't remember him having the drape wings as much when he had the trench coat. So, you know, if that one doesn't come with the open wings, first of all, that's kind of sucky, and second, I got that covered. I got these. These are good enough. They stay in position. I'm curious if, like my Demona, it's just the wing and not the sockets. I imagine it's probably just the wing, which is kind of weird, but, you know, whatever. It is what it is, unfortunately. But, you know, they're staying there for now. As soon as I turn the camera off, that one on the left side is probably going to go whoop, but it is what it is, as they say. So with that being said, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is Broadway alongside Big Daddy Goliath, who, much like Brooklyn, he towers over. I mean, he is Big Daddy Goliath. He should be taller than the rest of them, but if we move him out of the way and bring in not so big Mama Demona, you can see that she is probably a little bit tall for her character, in the sense that I do have her legs bent. And I mentioned this in the Brooklyn review, but just to reiterate here, Goliath and Demona in this NECA line are about the same size if you pose the legs right. And in the show, Goliath was about a head taller than Demona. So the Goliath figure we have is, I think, a little bit small. And honestly, I think the Hudson figure is a little small too, but moving her out of the way. Here is Broadway with little brother Brooklyn. I say that because I think Broadway's a little taller, but there he is with his cloak wings, much like Demona. And if you're wondering where I got those, stay tuned. Be looking at where those came from later this week, so very much looking forward to that. And then we brought him out in the Brooklyn review. We got to bring him out here. Here he is with old Bronxy, a fellow finned-eared gargoyle dog thing. What is this? What is Bronx at the end of the day? Is he a dog? Is he a beastie? Is he a unholy abomination? I don't know. You decide. Setting him there. Of course, we now have our two regulars. Mythic Legion's brother Mindiblith. He's a little closer to the same size as Broadway here. And the infamous Okay, live in Spawn, who towers over Broadway. Business as usual here. That's Overlord Productions. So with that being said, to wrap things up, some final thoughts. Overall, and despite the fact that poor Broadway here has some low-key Demona crap going on with his left wing, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the whole loose Demona wing thing on the right side, not the left? Either way, I digress. I still like this figure. I like having it. And when that Silver Falcon Detective Broadway variant does come out, I will probably give this guy the cloak wings from that figure, and the open wings from this figure will end up on that one if he doesn't come with a pair of his own. That said, for future reference, NECA, please, for the love of God, give us those A-shaped wings at some point. After reviewing Brooklyn and this guy, I gotta tell you, these things are super cumbersome to review in my small review set here, and I upgraded to a different color, but not to a bigger size. So you help us out here? I mean, golly gee whiz, man, the cloak wings are great and all, but they're not the most dynamic, and you ain't putting those out fast enough, in my opinion. So chop chop, do something. We gotta get something going here. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.